It's hot. This started a couple years ago. I used to write scripts for other magicians and create tricks and things. Less of being a performer, more of just creating tricks for people. And one day, quite recently, a guy came up to me at a magic convention. Those things do exist. And he says, I want someone to write something meaningful for my show. And I said, sure. He said, you're the guy I heard to come to. I said, okay. What do you mean by meaningful? And he says, I don't even remember what he said. He just started bullshitting. And it became clear as he talked that he had no idea what he meant by meaningful. And unfortunately, as the guy he's coming to consult with, I had no idea what was meaningful. What does anyone mean when they say something's meaningful? This got me distraught, of course. And so I went to Google, as all sane people do, and I started looking up the meaning of meaning. Nothing to report. You can read the dictionary definitions, which by and large suggest that if something is symbolic, that it is therefore meaningful. It has a meaning. But that's not really anything. I mean, that's as good as saying nothing. And so I called my friend Armando, and I went over to him. I said, if I was in town in Vegas for coffee, would you have time? He says, yeah, I'd have time. So we get together. I drive all the way out there to have coffee with the guy. He says, what's on your mind? I said, well, I just spent 6 hours on Google yesterday trying to figure out the meaning of meaning. To which he promptly said, you're an asshole. The only guy wasting his time on that, you know. So I call another friend of mine. And he's the kind of armchair philosopher, you know the types. And he likes to misquote philosophers so that he can pass his own ideas off because he thinks you'll give it more thought if it came from someone respectable. And so he misquotes, and trust me, I've read Thoreau, I've never seen this in there. He misquotes Thoreau as saying that he was one day walking in deep woods where no one had ever walked before. And he stumbled upon a flower. And he said it was the most beautiful flower he'd ever seen. He'd never seen a flower so beautiful. And he wondered and pondered, what is the meaning of a flower so beautiful when no one's ever going to see it? Until he realized it's not that no one's seeing it. He's seeing it right now in this moment. So therefore, perhaps the meaning of the flower is for that one moment of beauty on his walk. Which is something, but it's not everything. By a long shot. So then I stumbled upon the Buddha, who is giving his famous flower sermon, in which he's walking with his disciples or students, whatever the heck you call them, and they're walking, and he plucks a flower, and he holds it high over his head, and he says nothing. That's the whole sermon. He didn't say anything. Right? Buddha, talk about deep. But if I could be so bold as to suggest what I think the Buddha was asking without using any words, he's asking, what does it mean? It's just a flower. Does it have to mean anything? I think very often we spend a lot of our time trying to inject meaning where it doesn't necessarily belong. And as I mentioned earlier, without even really knowing what the hell we're talking about. What even is meaning? We don't even know what we mean. So we're just injecting this meaning where it doesn't belong. It was Gertrude Stein, right? A rose, a rose, a rose, a rose, a rose. Can't that be it? Can't things just be what they are without us having to get involved? I don't know, maybe. But I ask you, does something being symbolic, like the dictionary definition would suggest, automatically make it meaningful? And of course, I'd ask you, what is the meaning of meaning anyways? That is, of course, if there is one. Can I get a light? Not for a cigarette, I mean the... yeah. Would you be so kind as to take that from me? Thank you, I appreciate it.